Bitter criticism today. Believe it or not, Tommy is there, and we are in the back of the studio. Oh, there's a space for more messages. But yeah, look, Mursi just said what I will show you. There's people here. The emergency truck finally worked. I'll show you without the light, but there's a lot of light over there. Can you see? So there's actually a truck with somebody inside, and I'm nervous too, but this is an emergency line, an emergency truck, and that was just the emergency truck do, which is having trucks on emergency. Well, and Mursi got crazy about this invasion. So this will be the first time since last time it was 4 months ago, like 5 months ago. So this is very rare, but it's necessary nevertheless. All these trucks open down all day long. But by now, I'm just going to read. I will pay an eye to Mursi to see if she's crazy. How crazy is she about the visitors? I hope she's not so crazy. But anyway, here we go. Tommy is kind of cooler than Mursi with humans. Mursi is kind of crazy with humans. Man, most of all, maybe Mursi got bad experiences with men. Mursi! So the truck driver over there, the truck driver over there, maybe he's crazy about me and the dogs. He's kind of well, and now and there is Milu. So Milu and Mursi, they are going to fight the invaders. Now Tommy. But I guess truck drivers they get used to about dogs. I guess there's some people they don't understand nothing about dogs. They get really nervous, but Milu and Mursi, they are small dogs. I don't want craziness now in the front of the camera. Just keep cool. Yeah, well, I just... Tommy, silencio, Tommy. I just shut down Mimi. Well, anyway, Russia today. NATO member summons Russian envoy over drone fragments. I'm going to see what Pepe Escobar is saying. Hey! Silencio, oye. Silencio, cállate. Silencio. So they are Mursi and Milu very crazy about I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream about because of the Oh yeah, this is the new article Pepe Escobar was talking about. Tommy! Zero Edge. Escobar. That's it. Escobar. China designs an economic roadmap all the way to 2029 by Tyler Durden, Wednesday, July 24, which is yesterday or 2 days ago. Authored by Pepe Escobar. There can hardly be a better place to track the 4-day, twice-a-decade plenum of the Communist Party of China than dynamic one country, two systems, Hong Kong. Hong Kong is right at the heart of East Asia, halfway between Northeast Asia, Japan, the Koreas, and Southeast Asia. To the west is not only China but the original landmass, linking it to India, Persia, Turkey. Oh, I just read this. Yeah, so let's see if there's a previous article. There is strategic culture, but maybe it's not from Pepe Escobar, but this is Pepe Escobar Telegram, nevertheless. Anyway, Strategic Culture Foundation. China has achieved escape velocity. It is now unstoppable by Pepe Escobar. The same day, two articles in the same day. Pepe, well done. July 24. The 24th century is shaping up to be the Asian Eurasian Chinese century. The 4-day, twice-a-decade plenum of the Communist Party of China that took place last week in Beijing, designing an economic roadmap all the way to 2029, was a stunning affair in more ways than one. Let's start with continuity and stability. There's no question after the plenum that Dada, or the Big Panda, will stay on the helm until 2029. Is the Big Panda not is not the Winnie the Pooh? Pay attention. Or the Big Panda will stay on the helm until 2029, the end of the current 5-year economic drive. And if he is healthy enough, he stays up to 2035, the fateful and uber game-changing target year for China to exhibit a GDP per capita of $30,000 with massive around-the-world reverberations. Here we see the confluence between the progression of socialism with Chinese characteristics and the defining contours of, if not of a Pax Sinica, at least of the non-hegemon-centric multinodal world, italics mine. The proverbial U.S. think tank land xenophobia axis has been hysterical on China not being able to sustain a 5% a year growth rate for the next few years. The target once again stressed at the plenum. A Russian analyst by the Center for Geopolitical Forecasts makes a crucial point. The Chinese themselves have not bothered about the growth rate for a long time. Since in 2018, they switched to a strategy of so-called qualitative development that is not at the expense of traditional industries, but on the basis of high technologies and the creation of new areas such as the production of new energy sources and artificial intelligence. That's the rationale behind Made in China 2025, which is being implemented at breakneck speed. high-tech development leading the way towards a high-level socialist market economy to be consolidated by 2025 and fully constructed by 2035. The next step will be to attain the status of modernized socialist power by 2049 at the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China (PRC). The plenum proved once more that socialism with Chinese characteristics, or for the recalcitrant Chinese modified capitalism, is people-centric. The supreme values are national interests and the people's interests are attested by the fact that large private corporations remain under the strategic control of the CPC. It's idle to try to find in the final communique at the end of the plenum any restrictions on private capital on the path to universal prosperity. The key point is that the role of capital should always be subordinated to the concept of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Watch the reform ship steadily sailing. Watch the reform ship steadily sailing. That's a subtitle. Everything is explained here in nearly didactic terms, chronicling the birth of the decision of the CPC Central Committee on further comprehensive deepening of reforms to promote Chinese modernization. What is now already referred to colloquially all across China as the decision spreads across 15 parts and 60 articles divided into three main sections, proposing more than 300 important reforms. The decision in full has not yet been published. Only the roadmap of how Beijing planners got there. Of course, this is not mere policy paper. It's a quintessential CPC-style dissertation where the details of economic and political measures are obscured by clouds of images and metaphors. Take a look, for instance, at this passage, quote, "To ensure that the reform ship sails forward steadily, the decision proposes that further comprehensive deepening of reform must implement the 6 principles, adhere to the party's overall leadership, adhere to the people-centered approach, adhere to the principle of maintaining the integrity and promoting innovation, adhere to system building as the main line, adhere to the comprehensive rule of law, and adhere to the systematic approach." Yeah, this is interesting. You know, I was listening a podcast, I don't remember from where. It was a woman, I guess, talking about... Oh, no, yeah, I just remember. It was a Latin woman studying in China. She said, Mursi! Well, there's a PhD student in China. I heard that. I heard her in a very good channel. I will show you this very good channel. Look, I show you before. I showed you before. It's like Tertulia's abuela. Well, this is a PhD student, a Peruvian PhD student, I guess. This is the channel, look. They are Spaniard. They are Spaniards. And They interview this woman. Mursi. Well, they interviewed this Peruvian woman, and she said that in China there's a lot of things that only to Chinese people. You cannot, if you are not born Chinese, you have zero chance to be a Chinese director of the CPC. But the question is, these people from the CPC party, they're always studying Marxism, and that was very interesting, because it's the only place in the world, I guess, that learn Marxism is actually good for your career, that will be awesome, because sometimes I think to myself that is necessary to learn not Chinese, Marxism. Maybe Marxism in Chinese language. What about that? Anyway, so these topics from the CPC, they are absolutely Marxism or something like that, I was watching just a couple of minutes ago, I was watching this streaming. I was watching this streaming from Danny Haipong and Ben Norton. They said this one, look, and they was saying
bilateral trade using yuan and also the real, which is the Brazilian currency. We saw that in Southeast Asia, the ASEAN countries have created a new financial architecture.
And I just forgot why I was watching this video, and there's a chat as usual in online streams, and I was chatting with a lot of people from all over the world, and this is another commentary. Look, there's espionage over us. If you want to see something like that, you will get spy. Look. Have you saw that? Well, that's espionage, people. It tells like that. I was chatting on the Danny Haipong live stream, and suddenly they asked me a pool, asking me if we were talking about that in the chat they were talking about Taiwan war, about Taiwan threat, Chinese threat to Taiwan, and Israel problems too, geopolitics. And I said, yeah, that's fine, I know, or something like that. I said, yeah. And then appears that this message tell us more additional details. Please don't include personal or sensitive information. You too may use this feature feedback account and system data to improve our services, subject to our privacy policy and terms of service. You can also report legal issues like privacy, copyright, and other law. Can you see? So I guess this is espionage, Well, anyway, I was in the chat, and I just realized that China is a very unequal country, and maybe they will get a second communist revolution. What about that? It's just a joke, of course, but it's just an idea, Just thinking about China. I guess I'm going to burn Pepe Escobar again. Maybe Pepe Escobar doesn't like my burning, but it's just provocation, you know? Just provocation, a healthy Brazilian provocation. Because my channel is nothing, you know? I can do whatever I want. There's no repercussion, there's nothing. So I guess I will do that. I will say, China is so unequal. There will be a second communist revolution. What about that? I guess that will be fair. Anyway, just keep reading the article from Pepe in Strategic Culture Foundation. Most of the decision has 6 parts. In a total of 13 is about economic reform. Will China pull it off? Of course it will. Just look at the precedents. In 1979, the little helmsman Deng Xiaoping started to transform a nation of farmers and peasants into a well-oiled machine of efficient industrial workers. Along the way, GDP per capita was multiplied by no less than 30 times. Now the ramifications of the Made in China 2025 are turning a nation of factory workers into a nation of engineers. Of 10.5 million university graduates a year, a third are engineers. The emphasis of AI has led, among other examples, to the automobile industry being able to produce $9,000 EV in complete automation and make a profit. China is already a global leader in EVs. BYD building plants in Brazil, Thailand, Turkey, Hungary. Solar power, drones, telecom infrastructure, Huawei, ZTE, steel, shipbuilding, and soon also semiconductors. Thank you, Trump sanctions. Thank you, Trump sanctions. While the hegemon spent at least $7 trillion and counting on unwinnable forever wars, China is spending $1 trillion in an array of Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) projects across the global south. The emphasis is digital transportation, connectivity corridors, geoeconomic imperatives intertwined with rising geopolitical influence. Hegemon hysteria aside, the fact is the Chinese economy will grow by a whopping $1.7 trillion only in 2024. That is more than in all but the last 3 years because of the COVID effect. And Beijing borrowed exactly 0 yuan for this growth. The US economy, by comparison, may grow $300 billion in 2024, but Washington had to borrow $3.3 trillion for that to happen. Researcher Geoff Roberts has compiled a very useful list of what China is doing right. And when it comes to the nitty-gritty, the numbers are staggering. Here are just a few apart from GDP growth. 1. Foreign goods trade is up 6.1% to $2.9 trillion year on year. The trade surplus is at $85 billion, up 12% compared to 2023. ASEAN trade is up by 10.5% to $80 billion. China is the number one trade partner of individual ASEAN members. China had a record crop, 150 million tons of cereal grains. The The courier sector handled 80 billion parcels, up 23% year on year. SMIC is the world's number 2 pure play foundry after Taiwan's TSMC. China Telecom paid $265 million for 23% of Quantum C-Tech, patenter of Misuse, the world's first quantum communications satellite. Commercial Aerospace launched 39% of China's 26 rockets. Invention patents rose 43% to 524,000. China is the first country with 4 million domestic invention patents in force. Baidu's 1,000 robotaxis in Wuhan will break even in the fourth quarter and will be profitable next year. China has 47% of the world's top AI talent. It added no less than 2,000 AI courses to school and college curricula since 2019. On world-class institutions doubling as research leaders, 7 out of 10 are Chinese, including the top one, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, ahead of Harvard. Exceptionalist China experts believe their own fantasy that the US, allied with occupied Taiwan, Germany, and South Korea, will be able to match and surpass China's pool with the global majority because they have more resources and more capital. Nonsense. Even more nonsense is to believe that the hegemon's NATO partners, as in vassals, will follow the leader in creating cutting-edge technology. The high-speed train that matters has already left the station. The 21st century is shaping up to be the Asian-Eurasian Chinese century. The views of individual contributors do not necessarily represent those of the Strategic Culture Foundation. So, it's funny because Pepe Escobar has a Donald Trump style. It's a good style, by the way. How powerful is this line, This Samsung cell phone line? Oh, he's not. Is the truck light. Yeah, it's the truck light. I'm not sure if you can see the bird over there. No, you can't see the bird. Anyway, I hope my dogs are fine. I hope they don't kill my dogs. I guess not. I hope not, Can you imagine a crazy truck driver stressed by some crazy dogs, killing the dogs? Better news tomorrow. Better news about my dogs tomorrow. By now, I'm just going to read more news. Taking away this grass from here. Anyway, I don't know what to read. Russia Today is being boring. I don't know why, because nothing is happening, I guess. 2 weeks ago, Russia Today was all day like, oh yeah, we are definitely going to war. Oh, definitely. A lot of... Can you see there's no Timur Fomenko anymore? Where are you, Timur Fomenko? Timur Fomenko is like is like a war journalist, He's kind of, I guess he's related to Anatoly Fomenko because it's the same thing. Despite what ChatGPT says, they are very similar. Anyway, let's see some headlines from Russia Today. NATO member summons Russians envoy over drone fragments. Not interested. The message of Zelensky's top rival is pleasing for Western elites, but terrifying for Ukrainians. Who is this guy? So we have an article. The message and stuff, that one, yeah. And says, the message of Zelensky's top rival is pleasing for Western elites, but terrifying for Ukrainians. Kiev's former commander-in-chief, now ambassador to the UK, wants to turn his country into a weapons testing lab. This is by Tariq Cyril Amar, a historian from Germany working at Kos University, Istanbul, on Russia, Ukraine, and Eastern Europe, the history of World War II, the cultural Cold War, and the politics of memory. This is Tariq Cyril Amar. I guess I've read before. Ukrainian ambassador to UK, General Valery Zaluzky something. The photograph. This camera is very bad, isn't it? There's no problem on this camera. Zaluzny speaking at the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, Land Warfare Conference 2024 at Church House in Westminster, Central London on July 2024. Valery Zaluzhny, Ukraine's former commander-in-chief, has given his first public speech in his new role as his country's ambassador to Britain. The occasion, surely carefully chosen, was the annual Land Warfare Conference at the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, the UK's oldest and still premier military and geopolitical think tank. It was a high-level setting. Other speakers included General Roland Walker, Chief of Britain's General Staff, and Admiral Tony Radakin, Chief of the Defense Staff. Zaluzhny, of course, was a high-level guest too, de facto exiled to Britain after losing a power struggle against Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Rumors about a future return to Ukraine and a powerful position there have never died down. According to the Telegraph correspondent who was in the audience, Zaluzhny's address was mostly delivered in Ukrainian, as the ambassador's English is, to put in boldly, unusually weak for a diplomat, especially one sent to London. But Zaluzhny published the speech on his Telegram channel under the somewhat awkward title, "The Russian-Ukrainian War as a War of Traditional Period. New Patterns of the War." This version is also less than perfect English, does make you wonder about the staff resources at the Ukrainian embassy. Not a single person capable of some basic editing. But Zaluzhny's meaning comes through loud and clear. Zaluzhny started on a note of corny philosophizing and gauche confusion. I guess they are talking about myself, you know. I like this kind of philosophy introductions. After being treated to the hackneyed phrase "Si vis pacem para bellum," if you want peace, prepare for war, his listeners must have been intrigued. To hear Ukraine's former commander-in-chief equate killing in war with murder. Usually, that is a position associated with radical pacifism. Some may have been surprised to hear that the total number of casualties of World War I and II taken together was 60 million. Unfortunately, it was significantly higher. Also Karl, not Karl von Clausewitz. If you want to boast using authors, you clearly have to read. At least check the spelling. But World War III was the illusionist real theme at RUSI. Anyway, in two respects. Ostensibly, the ambassador, who used to be a general, was talking about how to avoid it. But in reality, the general inside the ambassador was really giving advice on how to wage it. In Zaluzhnyi's defense, his idea of preserving the peace is so crude that the two aims easily converge. In his single-track mind, the only key to peace is deterrence by military power. But this total neglect of any role for diplomacy and compromise is, of course, what his Western audiences like to hear, because it flatters them by mirroring their own tunnel vision. Casting himself in what is by now a time-worn role for Ukrainian representatives in the West, Zaluzhny spoke as a sage and Warner delivering a wake-up call to why be modest, all of humanity, and in particular free and democratic nations. In this context, Ukraine, for its former commander-in-chief, is a resource of a very peculiar kind. It is Ukraine's experience in the war with Russia, or at least his interpretation of that experience, that Zaluzhny uses to claim special authority when speaking to his Western listeners, and coming to conclusions that he must know are certain to be welcome, thus generously offering to share all our knowledge, experience, and thoughts. His first lesson is that society must agree to temporarily give up a range of freedoms for the sake of survival, because the former general argues modern wars are total, requiring the efforts not only of the army but also of society as a whole. Politicians, Zaluzhny elaborated, can and should mobilize society. This idea, often called the whole of society approach to security and defense, has of course been one of the main strands of NATO and EU propaganda for several years already. NATO, for instance, adopted the resolution on it in 2021. In the same year, the EU's Directorate General for External Policies produced a policy paper on best practices in the whole of society approach in countering hybrid threats. In January 2024, the then UK Chief of the General Staff, General Patrick Sanders, made the same point. A future war with Russia will require comprehensive mobilization of the whole nation. The head of NATO's military committee, Dutch Admiral Rod Bauer, has long preached the same mantra, occasionally mixed with pure scaremongering about how to prep best, have a flashlight, radio, and batteries ready for the day the big bad Russians come. All of the above is part of NATO's escalating effort to make and keep itself important and very well financed, having helped create by its reckless expansion the war that is now devastating Ukraine. NATO elites will not let a good crisis to go to waste. There also is something slightly comical about the crude 1950s style manipulation of the Western public, and something sadly comical about how former Ukrainian commander-in-chief serves to play back Western talking points, repackaged as Ukrainian experience to Western audiences to receive their blessing. Yet ultimately the issue is deadly serious for two reasons. Obviously, in the worst case, the current attempt to get everyone psyched up, not just for war but for World War III, may feature in the future history books in chapters of a pre-war period. Second, there is a peacetime agenda as well. The drive towards societal resilience serves to justify at a minimum the streamlining of public discourse, the narrowing of policy debates, and the demonetization of those arguing for diplomacy instead of, or at least in addition to, military solutions. In this respect, Zelensky's Ukraine, as represented by his former rival and current ambassador Zaluzhny, is the wet dream of the West mobilizers, a personalistic, at best semi-authoritarian regime with no free media of opposition. And the fact that they have no shame in calling that sort of state a democracy, complete with the usual vibrant civil society, proves that they will not hesitate to do the same at home. In Zaluzhny's ideas about what should be done to society are stunningly imitative. His take to the military meaning of the Ukraine war seems at least more original, if a little bombastic. He believes that the changes which were invited on the battlefields of the Russian-Ukrainian war are very likely to determine the outlines of wars and the art of war in the 21st century, and to become the foundation of the entire global security system of the future. Zaluzhny is probably wrong on the fact there. As I have long argued, the genocidal slaughter committed by Israel in Gaza is more likely to leave a deeper imprint on the future of warfare, for want of a better term. We are already seeing attempts to derive lessons, all the wrong ones, rest assured, from it by Western think tanks such as the R&D Corporation, and indeed the very same RUSI where Zaluzhny gave his speech. Well, this article is absolutely giant. I just give up, I'm just giving up. And this time I'm not going to free Tommy. I'm just expecting to recover my dogs. Tommy, venga. Tommy, venga. Aquí. Baja. Venga. Well, and that's it. Well, I hope my dogs come back home someday. Hi, Tommy, calma. The problem with Tommy is look, the rope is very in the limit, and Tommy keep pushing. What a stupid American dog. Tommy. Quit being so stupid. Stop pushing the rope, stupid. So there's, I don't know where, no, it's not my Milu. So we are going home. We are going filming. Ay, Tommy, Yapo. Well, my dogs looks like they are still there. So yeah, this last article was exciting. The part of when, World War III is very exciting. But I hope there's not. I made a question to Ben Norton and Danny Haipong too. They didn't answer me. Well, Danny Haipong is making business with this chat. Is making business with. I mean, they only read pay questions. They only read. Well, my question was, I didn't pay, of course. I don't have money. Well, I asked about. I forgot now. Well, the second communist revolution in China, the revolution against the oligarchs, maybe, and the other one I forgot now. I forgot now. Can you see? Stop smoking weed. No, but smoking weed, forgetting things, and then working hard to remember is a good exercise. Working hard to remember.